Good evening. This is Dr. Nona James, and I'm the instructor for the CONR course, Beyond Power, the Theory and Practice of Appropriate Decision Making with Abilene Christian University. And just want to say hello to the students as we go into week 3 of the course. I know that you all have done a lot of work already, and I do appreciate your participation. Before we get into the coursework, there are a couple of things that I do want to discuss for administrative purposes. First off, I want to thank those students that had an opportunity to be with us for the Zoom session that we had just earlier on Tuesday evening, and it was quite informative, and I do appreciate everyone's input and some concerns you had with logistics of the course, and I do also appreciate some of the communication that I've gotten from you all regarding some concerns you've had with getting into Canvas. I think there's been some glitches. Hopefully those will resolve themselves, and with the communication we've done with the help desk, I do continue to urge you to, if you have any issues with your submissions or just maneuvering through Canvas. I think some people were losing information. First and foremost, I ask that you try and contact Canvas Help. They are available 24/7 and will assist you in maneuvering you through and just seeing if there's anything even behind the scenes that needs to be fixed. I think some of you said that you had submitted some discussions or your papers, but then when you went back, other things were there. Please continue to give me that input so that we can communicate that again to Canvas, and if I need to communicate that even with the department and those that work with the course design so that can be improved upon. Let's see what else that we have here. I think that most of your individual concerns have been addressed by emails that I've sent you, and if not, continue to send me those through the Canvas email system. Again, that's the only way I'll know to improve on things for the course. The other was there has been concerns as far as the grading and the syllabus and how that all correlates, and the rubric being a little bit different, this being a conflict resolution course and it's satisfying your EDD. Just know that I appreciate, again, those that have gotten in touch with me, and even during the Zoom, a rich communication on that, and I will take your input and what has been concerns at earnest, and just give me time to reflect and give some consideration to that. And Dr. Shep and I, we will be, providing more feedback in written communication on how we're going to move forward. But the most important thing that I want for each one of you is that you, number one, have fun with this class in your interface with one another, and the ability to not allow logistical or technical issues interfere with the opportunity to glean from the rich content of what this coursework is about. It does have to do with leadership and what are those black holes, divots, the valleys, and as we discussed the first week, what causes good leaders to fail. So some of the things that have been communication, now are you all contacting me as well as in the Zoom? They correlate with this course. And so it is my effort and my, like I said, hopefully goodwill, that I will try and be that good leader, and even the ability to compensate or adjust where there are those improvement opportunities. So just bear with us as we continue to settle in. And again, we only have, the class is moving quickly, so we only have a few weeks left. And so we want to try and get these things resolved so that, again, when the close of this class, you can see it as a rich, productive, and enjoyable process that you've been through, as well as learning opportunity. I understand that some of you all are close to the end of your EDD program or your doctorate's program, and I commend you for the hard work you've done. And if there's anything that Dr. Shep and I can do to make your transition into closure of this class and moving on, or in preparation of your dissertation writing, just know we're available to help. So on that note, just watch for announcements, the announcement board. If there's anything else, I'll put that on there. But just want to recap that during the first week, we had the opportunity to look at leaders, and we focused on why good leaders make mistakes. And through the literature and the study that you did for that week, we were provided with some enrichment awareness by scholars and professionals through our studies in the literature that had to do with Harvard Business Review. We also had Kahan and his book on power and love, and just what those concepts look like. We also looked at the Harvard Business Review and how to conquer indecisiveness. And so some of the things that became buzzwords that you also were able to apply in your assignments had to do with pattern recognition, emotional tagging, which you were able to provide during your discussions, and you had that opportunity to provide input to your peers as to what were those own personal experiences where we could have been improved upon, or were in error in some decision making, but we learned from them. And through the discussions, they were quite rich and very informative as to those situations. If you had the opportunity, as I did, and Dr. Shep, we saw that there was many areas, not just in business, but in our day-to-day lives, be it family, church, social relations, community, and the job, that leadership opportunities avail us, and that there will be those areas that we always will have opportunity to improve on. There was also the ability to identify what red flags that suggested error in judgment. And so some of the literature addressed the presence of inappropriate self-interest, distorting attachments, and presence of misleading memories, and how also we moved into the power of love, and the fact that that being the driver of everything living to realize itself within itself, increasing intensity, and power is driven to one's purpose, as well as love showing the drive towards unity of the separated. And then, like I said, there was the activities. And then you had the opportunity to provide do your papers, which had to do with the scenario of a business organization leader that had been amiss as far as being an effective leader. And you were provided the opportunity to be a consultant and provide those recommendations. You all did well on those papers, and as we shared with the Zoom group, one of the things we're looking at is to please be mindful, even going forward with the other papers, don't just share what the issue was, what the recommendation, but the ability to defend why your recommendation is important, and try and synthesize some of the areas that you read about concepts with those literature that can support that through the readings, Harvard Business Review, Kahan, Bazerman. There's a lot, even chapter 2, week 2 that had to do with Bazerman, but applying those literature. And you're welcome to support your defense on why you made those recommendations with others. And so not just assignment 1, but the other assignments, that's what we're looking at as far as how you are applying the assignments. In week 2, we moved into the ability to look at the theory of decision, as well as neuroscience. And we also were able to see how important it was from a cognitive perspective and biases, and how they influence the decision making. Some of it has to do with memories, and how, even from one of the videos that was presented, Dr. Bauman, his video on cognitive biases, and how the mind, based on memories and experiences, impact those biases and the decision making that's there. and the ability also as to making rational decisions. So that's just an overview. There was much more that had to do with week 2 and 1 that we could talk about, but I want to get into giving you your overview for week 3. Week 3, we will be looking at it's the strategies for better decision making. And right off from your module, you will see a wonderful little schematic there that has to do with the content marketing strategy. You'll go into reviewing that and reading that. Your assignments today this week will come out of the Harvard Business Review, Make Better Decisions, and Bazerman's Chapter 5. As you walk through the module, you'll also see that you'll have some other readings that are very informative. One has to do with the old ways and new ways and how those are beneficial. What would the approach be? And it's important that you look at that. Another reading, it comes out of Bazerman Chapter 5, which is the approaching decision making as conflict. And you'll see that he discusses some very interesting concepts and his theory on that. What is going to be different from your previous 2 weeks is that you will have 2 discussions and 2 assignments that you will be responsible for submitting. And let me get that real quick here. Your first discussion question 4 for your discussion is, in the discussion board, you're going to share areas where you believe you have privilege and how you came to realize that you were afforded that privilege. And I think that's going to be a really interesting and informative discussion, and really looking forward to hearing your input on that. And the other discussion will be to provide examples of a choice you made based on expected utility, and that's going to be a concept that you're going to be exploring and learning about this week. When you do the discussions, just be mindful that it's difficult when you're dealing with typing and writing back and forth, almost like texting. But that's what we have because we're online. But if you can make that as close to how you would perhaps interface when you are talking, be it texting or face-to-face. And so when you're provided that information from one of your peers, I don't think there's really any problems seeing what you did from week 1, but being able to respond to that and perhaps even ask those poignant questions, clarifying questions. Help me understand, what did you mean by this? Or that seems like that was important to you. That when they're open-ended like that, you're going to get a much richer response versus the closed-ended questions that are there. So I'm looking forward to reading what you will come up with this week. And then for your assignments, you are to choose, you've got 2. The first one is choose 3 approaches from Davenport's table for closer consideration, and for each one, express your personal opinion on whether the approach predominantly favors System 1, System 2 of the thinking. And those were from your previous video that you had. You may want to revisit those and then apply that to your assignment 3. Assignment 4, when we begin to consider our own areas of privilege, we create a great potential for internal conflict and often extreme reaction. So this case, I'm looking for, as the assignment says, a short essay, 300 to 500 words, and speak to the area of where you have been privileged, and a plan, and share your design for a personal, responsible approach to privilege on there. So that is your assignments. If you have any questions at all, feel free to get in touch with me. Those that are in section W2, you're my students. Students in section W1, Dr. Christian Ship, he was prepared to answer any questions, concerns you have, and will be facilitating your communication with him. If anything comes up where Dr. Ship can't answer that, you're more than welcome to get in touch with me, and be sure and info copy Dr. Ship so he is aware of the communication we're having. For my group, feel free to connect with me directly. Y'all have made it to this point, and truth be told, course is moving on quickly. So again, any questions, get in touch with me. Wishing everyone a good week and productive week, and be blessed.